Sometimes you gotta pop out and show niggas certified boogeyman on that scope. What is good? What is good? What is good? Okay, I think we live. There we go. Alright. Let me just do one quick thing and then we'll dive into these charts and what we see. Okay. Alright, so we're good there. Let me send this to the Telegram. Let me just send this out here. Alright, cool. Alright. Now that everything is all set, what is good? What is good? Let's take a look at these charts today. So we have the NFP release. I took a trade here on gold, looking for a continuation of the previous 4-hour bullish structure. Ended up taking a 0.5% loss. We modified our position to cut our stop loss down there, so I only took a 0.5. So going into the news, I am not going in with any trade or any real bias. Now, I actually am biased to a bullish reaction, but where we're at in the markets, we can see a correction come from here. Nonetheless, at the very least, as long as this current weekly closes bullish, it is likely that we go ahead and break these 2,500 levels. Well, our previous all-time high, which is at 2485 or 2483 roughly. I definitely do believe that we can go ahead and punch through either next week or the week after to this potential 2,500 levels, breaking this all-time high at 2483. And why I believe that is just because we have so much volume coming off of this current weekly at the current rate. And then if you look at the previous monthly candle, we had a previous bullish monthly. So we're looking for those bottom wick to form and then these all-time highs to get taken out. We can see a steeper move to the downside, and if we do see a steeper move to the downside from this NFP, we'll go from there. But going on to next week, we're definitely, as of right now and how the current market structure stands, we're definitely looking for a bullish market structure. And even with NFP, we could potentially start to see these levels get held. Let's remove this. These levels get held here. For now, another move to the upside. But I'm not looking to guess which way this is going to go. We're just going to wait for the news release. Let's actually take a look here if we can't see the news here. So let's go to that. Let's pull that up real quick. All right. So the economic calendar here on my FX book. Let's take a look. We have non-farm payroll, as we all know today. It comes out in 12 minutes. So the previous, let's see, the consensus. So the previous was 136K. The consensus is 148. So they're expecting this to increase, which would be a bullish sign for gold, or that's what I would anticipate as a bullish sign for gold. Morning. Yesterday we took a solid trade, essentially the same trade. Well, actually, yesterday during our live session with our members, we took a trade, and then last night ended up taking another additional move here on gold. So I want to break down those two moves and how they executed, essentially, or how we executed on them, and then how they transpired. So yesterday during our live session, and we got some time here before the news come in, so we're gonna break it down. Yesterday during our live session, during New York session, we're seeing that price was in this bullish wave. It was before we had this spike up initially. We were in this bullish wave. Price created a high, created a higher low, and then broke that previous high, making this our key low here. And all we wanted to see was a continuation bullish to break these highs over here. That was our target for yesterday, was a break above these highs. So when price was in this level here, and specifically this candle, we wanted to go ahead and take our entries for this move, set our stops below the low here, and then had a target profit. I had a little bit better of an entry. Had a target profit of breaking this high. So in all, we closed at about a 1 to 2 risk to reward trade there. This is what I had mentioned on our targeted level, because when we hit our target level, price reversed off of that, and I sent that to you guys on the Telegram, why it's important to have these targeted levels, and you know what to do and how to react in these levels, if then statements. On the 1 minute time frame, I closed my trade, I want to say, a little early. We hit take profit, but I closed it earlier than I would have liked. I would have preferred to close it. I closed it as soon as price hit this. I would have preferred to close it on this bearish 1 minute candle here. So after this 1 minute candle closed bearish, this one was going to likely fill that wick, and I wanted to get out there. But we ended up taking right at our take profit. And then last night, I ended up scaling again on gold. So let's take a look here. Let's remove our drawings. It was on, that was early this morning, late last night. Yeah, so price had pushed up. We had this explosive move to the upside, this move to the downside. It couldn't break these lows here, and since price couldn't break these lows, we went ahead and took buys after we got a break of this high, this correction back down. Because volume was high, I went ahead and took buys on gold here with a stops below this low. And this is something that we've talked about on our live sessions. High volume moves get shorter corrections, and then we were looking for a continuation to break this high here, right over here to our left hand side, which we've seen happen early this morning, and was able to take profit on that. And so what I was trading this morning, or during the pre-New York, I guess you could say, is I wanted to see a correction back down into this level to retest these highs here. And you can see that price, once we retest these levels, and let me dial it up to the 15-minute time frame real quick so you can see this resistance that we have here. So I wanted to see price tap into this level here. After we tapped into this level here, we got a change of character. Oh my goodness, my mouse is acting slow today. Okay, here we go. So price was creating lower lows and lower highs within this bearish structure here. We had that high get created, this low. We tapped into this level. I had a high broken, a pullback back down. I went ahead and took entries looking to go long to take out these highs and anticipating a continuation, a bullish continuation. After we got some bullish volume here, so I took this buy. When it stops below here, looking for a sweep of these highs and for price to go back up to that ATH all-time high at 2083, 2483. We got a break above this high here when price created this high, so I went ahead and moved stops below this low and ended up only getting taken out for a 0.5 as I have modified my risk to below this candle here. So I only ended up taking a 0.5 loss on that. And since the news is getting ready to release, I'm not looking to execute on any trades for the news in itself. But I do want to watch and talk about what happens for the news following when the numbers are released. And then we can see kind of what we're going to be expecting for next week. What I always say about NFP is it always sets up for the next week. So it'll give us some volume and we'll be able to have a solidified, well, I'm not going to say a solidified, but a solid bias and solid direction for the upcoming week and how we will look to capitalize. I still am relatively bullish on gold. I think the all-time highs are bound to get hit. Like I said, previous 4 hours bullish. I wouldn't be surprised if this pushed down here and then flipped bullish. Gold has been known to do that, and specifically last NFP, which I believe was, yeah, it was right here. We got essentially that same move. We got, you have to zoom in, but we got a push down. It swept through these lows at the beginning of it. Price looked very, very bearish. And then it pushed all the way back up, broke these highs here, which is what I was initially looking for, was a break of these highs. And then corrected all the way back down following the news. And then obviously we see how price continued for the next week. So we had a bullish market structure going in and closing out the week. We anticipated that price would continue pushing bullish, and that's when we started to see this push for the all-time high. And if you take a look here on the weekly time frame of how that weekly had closed prior to that, or not prior to, but after that, that Friday NFP, you can see how bullish that weekly was. It was likely that we can get a bullish continuation, which is what we've seen throughout the next 2 weeks. The weekly closed bearish, but in the start of the week, if we go to the daily time frame, you can see that it was all bullish, and the only reason why we flipped to being bearish is because price had grabbed that all-time high and then it started to form a corrective structure. We're seeing that corrective structure back down, and now it looks like we're taking another stab at creating new all-time highs up here as well. So it's likely that we will see these highs get taken. It doesn't have to be today, but I'm definitely looking for this to be a move next week. We just got to see what the news is going to give us here. So we're going to watch it on, let's watch it on the 30-minute. Right now, price is still remaining in a bullish structure. And this is technically the key 30-minute low within these levels. And I wouldn't be, like I said, surprised if gold sweeps these lows, comes back into this level, and then makes a stab for a push up. So drop it in the chat. What are you guys' bias? Are you thinking gold is going to be bullish or bearish? Let's see if I can't. So We got what, 2 minutes or 3 minutes? So gold is news going to be bullish or bearish? Bullish, bearish. So I'm curious to see what you guys think. Are we gonna see this be bullish, or are we gonna see this in fact be bearish? In just about a minute and 33 seconds time here. We just gotta now be patient and wait for it. Bearish. I definitely was looking at bearish biases more so for EUR USD because it's just been in this bearish market structure. Despite gold continuing to climb to new heights, EU has been respecting this bearish downtrend. So for this whole week, we've just been seeing this. For the past 2 weeks, shall I say, we've just been seeing this continuation of this downtrend, following that correction that we had on that, or following that impulsive move that we had one Wednesday, about 3 weeks ago. It was during the London session, I remember, because I missed this trade to the upside. And then ever since then, we've just been correcting and on our way to the downside here. I've been talking into the back of the mic. I am so sorry. This probably sounds a little bit better. Yeah. All right, so we just got the release, and we are bullish currently. Let's see. Is this going to hold? Yeah, it's looking like we're going to be bullish. Take out those highs. That's pretty much what I expected as far as the structure was concerned. For that continuation, I just got in too early, trying to get those buys from within these levels here. But definitely, this is what I was anticipating, is that bullish move. So you can see how NFP adds volume to an already defined structure. Now, the news had just released here, so let's take a look at what that's saying. Let's see. Okay, so we have our numbers released here. I just want to take a look. 97K, so worse than expected, which was relatively bearish for the dollar, which is bullish for gold. So we'll have to take a look here at the dollar. Let's go to the DXY. Let's take a look at how that is faring. Yeah, so you can just see the DXY is tanking here. Following the release of the news here, EU should be buying, clearing these highs up. And this is a good sign. This is a great sign. This is what I mean by NFP can set up trades and market structure for the week to come. Because if we take a look here at EUR USD, I'm looking for my toolbar. I don't know why my toolbar is not up. Am I tripping? Okay, I guess I don't need it anyways. Let's do it like this. You can see that we've been in this bearish trend here, And now with the volume that we just gotten from following NFP, we've just broken out of this downward trend that we've just been speaking about. We've been in for the past 3 weeks. So why this is important is because now we can start to see some form of correction. Let's move my toolbar up since I got it back now. Remove that. We can start to see some form of a correction and a continuation, and we can now look to target back to these highs up here, following all this volume that we have, which is a great sign. Let's go back to gold. Let's see where gold is at, 2470. So it's looking like it's going to try to make a push up higher. I definitely want to see how she reacts in this level. If we do get a break in closure above these all-time highs today, or let's say within the next couple of hours or so, then looking for a continuation move to target the highs. And then for real, that 2500 level, I know I've mentioned that a lot in the past couple of weeks, but 2500 level is a big targeted level where a lot of big players in the market will be looking to secure profits. You know, the biggest players, they're just holding gold. And as we know, throughout history, gold just continues to go up. And why it continues to go up? Well, because inflation increases and continues to rise. So the price per dollar is decreasing in comparison to the, you know, an ounce of gold, the value of gold. So we're at 2473 currently. We got a good bullish reaction off of the news there. Let's pull this up here. Yeah, just a little too early on that first trade. Wanted these buys back up from within this level here. Came through, swept through these lows here, pushed down, pushed back up. Which is you did? That's good.
On the 5 minute, it was at my retest level before the news. So that zone to the left, you can put a line.
Yeah, I got you. I'm peeping. So is that resistance here pushed up? It's going up. And I might just have to start doing that, setting buy stops.
As much as it did last time. Last time that shit messed my entry all the way up.
It wasn't as much volume at the spike of the news itself. We're starting to see that volume start to come in now. But I mean, structurally, if you look at the 4-hour time frame, previous 4-hour was bullish. We're coming on this higher highs and higher lows, just kind of like what we talked about in the private session on Wednesday, of this kind of sideways market structure where price continues to create higher highs and higher lows. On Wednesday, this was the market structure. So we was looking at it on the 5-minute time frame. Even though it was a slower market structure, price was creating higher highs and higher lows. So we were anticipating that continuation of the bullishness. So bullish was the overall thesis, the overall bias for today, coming in both to this session, but also to trade in the markets this morning. That's what I was looking at. And yeah, now we're starting to get this movement above these highs here. That's a good sign that price can continue pushing bullish. And so next week, and hopefully we don't see it happen today, we may actually scale into a position today, being that we can get a continuation, maybe a correction here for a re-entry before breaking these highs. I'm definitely interested in taking that position for a possible scaling. We got to dial down here to a smaller time frame though. So on the 1-minute time frame, you can see just how high volume NFP is in comparison to our standard and regular market structure. Yeah, it definitely makes sense to be bullish. All time frames are signaling we're signaling a bullish market structure. The only time frame that was relatively bearish was this here, but you can see that we have an impulsive push up and then just a correction down. It took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 30-minute candles to correct one bullish candle. So that being with all of our other time frames lining up to be bullish too, it makes sense for this to be bullish, especially at nearing this key level of resistance. Previous daily closed bearish, but what we've seen with the daily and what I was expecting for this daily was similar to this market structure here. You have a push up, and essentially price pushes up, and then through the next daily continues pushing up, and then through the next daily corrects. Then it pushes back up, and that's how you see it close bearish here. But the overall structure within this wave is bullish. Same with this one here. Price pushes up to a key level of supply. We get a correction within that daily, then a push back up, closes bullish, pushes up here. We get a steeper move to the downside for our bottom wick, and then a continuation for a bullish structure. So this is essentially today's candle. This is what I'm going to be expecting next week, as far as next week's candle to hit that 2,500 levels in terms of this structure. And if we just look here, same as price has been forming on these smaller time frames, you can see that we're just creating higher highs and higher lows. Even though this isn't as high volume as this initial move to the upside, this is still going in a bullish trend, in the bullish direction, similar to what we've seen happening today as far as with this structure here. So we can highlight it. This structure, and then what we saw on Wednesday, even on the smaller time frame, you can see that the structure remains the same, just on different time frames. You can see that price did that same essential type move here, where we're just creating higher highs and higher lows, but it's just low volume. So eventually you will get that spike out, that breakout that will go to those key levels. Essentially, we just got to be patient. And so we're in this bullish market structure. Next target is the break of these highs. That was our immediate target for today. But after that, I'm going for 2,500 levels, and that'll just be where we look to target. You can see coming off of this weekly, after that bullish news for gold, we're gonna go ahead and close bullish on the week. And with so much volume from this current weekly, it's likely we see either the markets open with a gap, and this is generally when we get those gaps, when you just have so much volume and then the markets close, and over the weekends the markets continue to push up and then they open up at that higher opening price than when they closed, and then that's how we get those gaps that generally get filled in some form of a correction, and then you get a continuation. So I'm anticipating a continuation next week off of this current weekly, just because of how much volume we have. And I want to see something similar to we could see something similar to what we've seen every time we've created a new high. The current weekly starts off bullish, then you get a push up to break a key high, and after the high is broken, you see that correction down. I definitely want to see the high get broken, and specifically 2,500 levels get hit, and then we could potentially see a correction, a larger correction from there. But as of right now, price is bullish. This 4-hour candle is bullish. The next immediate target for price is to break these highs here at 2483 levels, 2484 levels. So all signs point to bullishness, and this thing is she's running now. So then you'll see this 4-hour candle closes in 17 minutes. And so essentially how we would scale in on this trade is in the next 4-hour candle, especially if in the current 17 minutes, we don't break this high. The next 4-hour candle to be able to scale in on the smaller time frame. Maybe we can get a retest back to this level here where we've seen previous resistance at. We can get a retest within that level and then that continuation. Bullish, just riding the already immense volume from this gold move here. Is a plausible re-entry, but I would take it at a low risk only because we already got the spike of the volume, and even though we can take out these highs here, I'm gonna really be looking to trade gold at the start of the next weekly, which will be a good week. It'll be a really, really good week, especially early on in the week is what I'm anticipating. Let's actually take a look at the news and see what we have for next week, so we can see when we're going to expect volume. And, of course, I'll be dropping this in the new episode of the Trader Talk podcast for this weekend, so we'll definitely be going over the news for this weekend, or over this weekend, shall I say, so that we can prep. But let's just take a look here. Let's see what kind of volume we can expect for next week. So let's go next week. So let's see. Sunday, nothing crazy. Monday, PMI numbers. So we got PMI numbers on Monday. This can add volume early on Monday. And like I said, we're coming off of a high volume week. So volume on Sunday's Asian session, as soon as the Asian session open up, we could be looking for entries then to be carrying out through this PMI news during New York session. Let's see. We got PMI. We got a speech there. Nobody that we need to know. Let's see. Tuesday doesn't look like we have anything crazy. Tuesday. Let's just make sure I didn't pass it. Yeah, so Tuesday, nothing crazy. Wednesday, nothing crazy. Thursday, jobless claims on Thursday. Okay, we can start to see more volume there. So yeah, so I'm expecting early on in the week from the volume to just be to continue pushing in the direction of the current trend. And this is what I mean by, we know, let's go back to the charts. So we know that this current weekly closed bullish. We could see a break of the previous all-time high and then a correction. So early on in the week, what do we have? We have news. And just like how the last time we broke the all-time high, essentially, we could see this continue pushing up. We get the spike of the news off of the rip on Monday, essentially. And then we could begin to see a correction throughout the rest of the week after we hit those key levels in the markets there. I don't like to call corrections because essentially price goes in the direction of the trend. So we want to be mindful that price would likely continue in the direction of the trend. So I'm not saying that price is going to reverse at 2,500 levels. I'm just saying that this is a level that we could see a reversal at, and to be on the lookout for when we get that reversal confirmation there for a potential move to the downside. But like I said, I'm just looking for these highs to get broken as of right now, 2,500 to get hit, and hopefully we don't do it today. I would really love to hit that next week, but if we hit it today, then we can still expect it to be bullish for next week, at least early on in the week. Not a super crazy high volume NFP like we're known for, but like I said, we could see this volume start to really pick up here in the next hour, especially after this current 4-hour candle closes. We could likely see that bearish push to the downside and then a continuation to break these highs up here. Very, very likely of a move from there. If we don't, then I would just see one more correction and then potentially a break of these highs. As long as we don't break these lows down here, price remains within a bullish structure. So let's go to that 15-minute time frame where we were anticipating a potential retest off of. You can see we're starting to get some of that correction to the downside now, but likewise with how price has remained, it hasn't created a lower low. So you see this low gets created, we get a lower or a higher low created here. We could just be seeing this continue pushing bullish, but like I said, we have 13 more minutes until this 4-hour candle close, and it's likely we do get a bottom wick from the next 4-hour candle. It's also likely that we break this high, and being so close to these highs, we could likely push and break through these highs too. This is why this is our target, because it also follows in the direction of what our larger time frame trend is, which we know to be bullish. And so that's how we set our targets, similar to how we set the target yesterday for yesterday's trade, how we set it for last night's trade during the Asian session. We just copy and paste. You can see this 15-minute candle starting to eat up all that there. We could start to see this potentially be bullish from here. Let's take a look at EU. EU, we got more of a steeper correction to the downside here. That push back up, it's already looking like it's about to break the highs. Following that correction, we got a lot of volume, so you got to dial down to the smaller time frame to see any form of a correction, especially following the spike of the news. The only way you'll be able to catch these moves, because how I used to try to trade this was wait for the 30-minute or the 1-hour candle to close. If you wait for this 30-minute candle to close, you miss majority of this move. So you got to wait for the spike and then dial down to the smaller time frame when you get your correction. That's when you want to scale into your trade there. I generally target the highs, but you can target larger time frame targets for price to continue pushing to whatever those larger time frame targets are, whether you have some resistance here. So this is definitely a target place, and this is why we got some resistance at this level here. You can see this is where we have resistance at right there. Price broke above that level, and then it came back down, retested it on a smaller time frame, and now you can start to see levels like here get targeted, potentially the highs up here get targeted after breaking out of this bearish flag that we've been in for so long. For the past 3 weeks, we've been in this. So it's taken 3 weeks for price to get down here. And in a matter of a singular NFP day, we've already got 50% of our position back on the bullish side of things. So taking a look here at gold. Let's go back to it. You can see how that's reacting there. And so I'm just looking for this to potentially continue. That's all it is. And then we'll look to scale in on this volume. Hopefully today we can see a move. If I do take an additional move today, it'll be at a 0.5% risk. On just a continuation play on the volume, similar to how we took yesterday's trade. It was just a continuation play on the current volume that we had already in the markets to take out a key high. So that's pretty much it for me. There's nothing else that I'm looking at or looking for. Let's take a look actually at Nas. Let's see how Nas reacted to this, because I'm gonna start trading Nas here soon. And Nas had a bullish reaction, which is typical following an impulsive move to the downside like we had seen there. Let's zoom out here. Whoa. What even is this trade? So let's see. Excuse me. All right. Let's go to the daily time frame. Take a look at Nas. So previous daily closed bearish. It's highly likely that the next daily will be bearish following the previous daily bearish close. We still do have a gap up here on Nas, so this is going to get filled whether we like it or not. In some, I wouldn't say necessarily near future, but because we're looking at the daily time frame here, so price can correct steeper to the downside before we see this, but we're gonna see this gap get filled. So I would definitely expect to be looking for just scalable buy positions personally, not currently off of the current volume, but when we do get a confirmation of a bullish structure, to this would be my larger time frame target is to fill this gap, because price is going to have to come back up to fill that. Let me make sure this is consistent with all the other Nas charts. Yeah, that is. Yeah, EU extremely bullish, pushing directly to that next target level, following that correction. She's ripping to the upside there. Gold is at 24.76, so making its way up as well. Not quite as fast as EU, but you could just see just how much volume we have in the markets currently. And coming off that previous bullish 4 hour, I knew that that's what we were looking for. But this is a good sign. This is a good way to go out on the week, because if we would have seen a steeper move to the downside here, then we could start to see a larger time frame correction back down into these lows before we go back up to push and break these highs. It's looking like we can just go ahead and make a push for the highs, and I hope not today, but we still have a lot of time left in the day, so I'll probably just look to scale in on a break of those highs. Like I said, after this current 4 hour candle closes in the next 5 or so minutes, I'll likely be sending out a trade setup or a trade idea, depending on if we actually look to take this just for a smaller time frame continuation, just to break this high at 24.83. So next 4 hour to form a bottom wick. Hopefully we could get a push back down to retest this level here, but since we have so much volume, you know how those go. We don't generally get a full steep correction when we have a lot of volume in the markets, but I'm banking that we can get a retest back to this level here. I want to make sure price hasn't already tapped this level, so we haven't quite tapped this level yet. But like I said, with so much volume, price doesn't have to tap this level in order to continue pushing back up. That's just an area I would like for us to tap into before we get this continuation up. At that resistance there, get a bullish market structure or a bullish candle close, and then look to execute on the continuation buys. But just looking at this 1 minute time frame right here, we still are creating higher highs and higher lows. So I'm gonna be patient, but essentially just waiting for the bullishness. My big overall move is the bullish move to break these highs and then that 2500 levels, which I mentioned so many times on this session. But just coming off of this week and how much volume we have on the current weekly, it's likely that we go ahead and break for those highs. Now, one day, maybe not in our near future, we could see a steeper correction down for gold, especially if we break through these lows down here. But as of right now, all signs point to the sky being the limit. So we're just gonna keep riding it. And I love weeks that we get closures like this, these strong bullish closures, especially after retesting a key level of resistance. This weekly close bullish, but this weekly close as a strong bullish. That made these 2 weeks for us on taking buys very, very easy, and very easy to target these highs up here, especially after this week at close bullish within this level. Very, very simple trades bullish to break these highs and go to those all-time high levels. It's looking like we could get a break above that high sooner than later. So I'll be sure to update you guys as this goes on. We've seen that the numbers released was 97K, so we had a bearish reaction for the DXY. Yeah, if the DXY continues to sell down how it's been or how it's currently selling, this is pretty much I'm not gonna say a cakewalk to be an easy bullish trade, but it's likely that that volume does continue throughout the current daily. So appreciate you guys for tapping in. I hope that you got some type of value in some way, shape, or form. Hope you were able to understand kind of why the markets added the volume in the direction that it did. Like we say all the time, the news does not change the structure. The structure is already defined, and the news reacts and just adds volume to the already defined structure. So you don't have to, it's not some something that's necessarily hard to understand where it's going to go. It's more so sometimes you get those liquidations, and I wouldn't say majority of the time, because this liquidation over here for gold that happened last NFP that we were on for, this hasn't happened, and this was consistent back in like 2022. Almost every NFP that we have, NFP or CPI, would do this essential move. It would go spike one way, and whatever that first direction was not the real move, and then you would see that continuation. It hadn't done this in a long time. Let's see if I can find the previous NFP. So that was what, the July NFP. So let's see if we can zoom out here to June NFP. It's likely where the most volume is at, right here. So you can see that for NFP for June, when we got that release, and we already had a ton of volume in the markets going into that session for the day. You can see the London session had already pushed down super strong. It's likely that you can get a take out of these lows following with all of this volume broke through these lows here. Yeah. But we seen on that Friday during NFP, we seen this bearish move to the downside. Didn't have a liquidity spike to the upside and then a push down. It literally just was correcting before the news dropped. It dropped. All right, new 1 hour candle opening, getting instant volume off of it here. Let's look at this 4 hour candle. I definitely want to see a steeper pullback on this 4 hour candle to be confident in taking entries. But essentially, like I said, that's it. Appreciate you guys tapping in. I hope that you got, like I said, some value out of this in some way, shape, or form, and you're able to understand how we go about the markets on these high volume days. Generally, I would love to be in this trade. Thought we was going to be able to have that that entry for the continuation up. Would be running good profits. But took a 0.5% L, and then we're just gonna, we're gonna build upon that. It was a profitable week, to say the least. With the last two trades we took on this week, I didn't take any trades, I believe, early on this week. It was relatively a slow start for the week for me this week, but we ended up ending it in positive. So all we can ask for, and we'll build upon that positivity next week.